You might ask yourself, what is procrastination? Well, we will give you a simple definition of what it is. Procrastination is a tendency to postpone important tasks or decisions with less important tasks. It is a failure to self-regulate.
Did you know that according to psychology professor Joseph Ferrari, he suggests that 80 to 95% of college students procrastinate, especially when it comes to their coursework? As well as this, there are many types of procrastinators. The common 5 are as the following. The first one is the arousal or the thrill seeker. Procrastinators of this type have a rush for completing things at the last minute. They thrive under pressure and love the adrenaline that is associated with completing tasks at the 11th hour. As well as this, these procrastinators tend to find things to do that relate to thrill-seeking adventures. The second is the avoider. Procrastinators of this type run away from the discomfort that is associated with going through with a task that may be unpleasant or have high stakes attached to it. These procrastinators are focused on what others think and run away out of the fear of failure. The third is the indecisive procrastinator. Procrastinators of this type simply cannot make a decision as a result of fear that they will be blamed for a negative outcome. These procrastinators run away from responsibility. The last type of procrastinator is the busy procrastinator. These procrastinators are too busy to get down to the bottom of their to-do list. For these procrastinators, everything is equally important and they cannot decide what to do first. Prioritizing is a struggle. The fourth type of procrastinator is the perfectionist. These procrastinators set high standards for themselves to the extent that they become overwhelmed. They start on work but fail to finish when they cannot meet the unrealistic expectations set out for themselves. In other words, if they cannot do something perfectly, then nothing gets done.
There is a very interactive and dynamic relationship between lifestyle and procrastination. Lifestyle factors can influence procrastination, and likewise, procrastination can influence different lifestyle factors. It's important to look at procrastination from a systems approach, a holistic approach that allows us to understand the complexity of what procrastination is in its fullness, as well as understanding all the components that influence it and the components that are influenced by it. Due to the nature of procrastination causing subjective discomfort in the individual, either conscious discomfort or subliminal discomfort, there are more times than not negative experiences and emotions that are associated with procrastination. And this in turn can result in a kind of guilt complex arising. As a result of this, there are many lifestyle aspects that can be negatively affected, which contribute to a deterioration of well-being and health in a chronic procrastinator. A perfect example of this that is relevant to the Rhodes context is how many Rhodes students can either develop the tendency to turn to radical drinking culture as a means of procrastination and avoidance, and vice versa, can allow for an already established drinking habit to result in procrastination of work and tasks that need attention. Another example of the dynamic interplay of this relationship between lifestyle and procrastination is making negative dietary choices. Making negative dietary choices can drastically affect one's ability to perform a task and can result in procrastination. And again, procrastination can also result in making negative dietary choices because many people turn to food, and often unhealthy food, as a means of procrastinating. One study that we looked at how different temporal dimensions affect procrastination. So a temporal dimension is how one relates to the aspects of time in one's life. So 2 temporal dimensions were looked at: morning eveningness, which is the person's association with when their most productive capabilities are. So morningness is when someone says, I'm a morning person, and they get up and they do their things in the morning. Eveningness is when people think that their most productive time of the day is in the evening. This had a higher correlation with the avoidant procrastinator, Whereas the other time dimension that was looked at, which is called time orientation, which is how one psychologically relates to the psychological aspects of past, present, and future, had a higher correlation with an indecisive procrastinator. It was also found that the indecisive procrastinator had a negative fatalistic present view, meaning that they often tended to put off making decisions due to thinking that the present decision might have a very negative impact in the future.
Procrastination causes many problems for high school and tertiary institutionalized students around the world, both mental and physical. According to Dr. Ferrari of the Research Institution of Colton University in Canada, there are two main types of procrastination, being behavioral and decisional procrastination, that have been found to be detrimental to the consciousness and well-being of students. Behavioral procrastination is a self-sabotage strategy that allows people to shift blame and avoid action. They'd rather create the impression that they lacked effort than ability, whereas decisional procrastination is centered around perfectionists. Decisional procrastination is the strategy of putting off making a decision when dealing with conflicts or choices, for the fear of choosing an option that is less than perfect. The study found that procrastinators of both kinds were more susceptible to colds and flus, and a downward spiral of low self-esteem. This self-inflicted degradation and shame of this kind often translates into high levels of stress and mental health problems such as depression and anxiety.
Do you want to stop procrastinating? Well, here's some tips on how to. Firstly, you must identify that you are procrastinating. Secondly, break your work into little steps. Too much work can be overwhelming. Change your environment. Change of scenery can increase productivity. Eliminate your procrastination pit stops. Don't make it easy for you to procrastinate. Hang out with people who inspire you to take action. Tell others about your goals. This increases chances of actually achieving it. Seek someone who's already achieved the outcome. It's inspiring to know that someone's already achieved your goals. Lastly, you must stop overcomplicating things. Don't wait for the right time.